The day my family skipped my birthday, then begged me to save them. I sent the invites first. 3 weeks out, I even felt stupidly hopeful about it, like I was 12 again, and still believed that family meant showing up just because you mattered. It wasn't going to be some grand production. No rented ballroom. No surprise DJ. Just dinner at a quiet place downtown that didn't blast music so loud you had to scream over your own emotions. The kind of restaurant where the waiter remembers your name if you come often enough, where the bread arrives warm, and where the lighting makes everyone look kinder than they are. I stared at my phone for an embarrassing amount of time before sending the group text. Not because I didn't know what to write, because I did. Simple, clean. Birthday dinner, Saturday the 18th, 7 p.m. Hope you can make it. But there's a special kind of vulnerability in announcing, hey, I exist. Please acknowledge it. I hit send anyway. My mom replied first, of course. Sounds lovely, sweetheart. My dad followed with, we'll be there. My brother Kyle reacted with a thumbs up emoji, which should have told me everything. Kyle communicates like a broken vending machine, unpredictable, minimal, and always slightly disappointing. My wife Hannah didn't reply, but she didn't need to. We shared a calendar. She'd watched me make the reservation at the kitchen counter, heard me say the time out loud, and even nodded like it mattered. Our daughter, Mia, 16, permanently attached to her phone, looked up for a second and said, cool, Italian sounds good. Cool. That was a standing ovation in teenager. So I did what people do when they're trying to believe in something. I planned. I ordered a cake from Hannah's favorite bakery because I wanted her to feel included, even though this was technically my thing. I asked for those sparkler candles because I'd seen them in videos and thought, maybe for once, my life could look like something people celebrate instead of something people tolerate. I cleaned the house the morning of my birthday like company was coming, like my family was coming, and I didn't want the house to look like it belonged to a man who'd been slowly giving up. I shaved. I wore the navy button-down Hannah bought me 2 Christmases ago, the one she said made my eyes look brighter. I even put on cologne, which is ridiculous when you're 42, and the people in your life already know how you smell when you're stressed. At 6:30, I stared at the reservation confirmation like it was a contract I could enforce. At 6:45, Hannah came down the stairs in jeans and a hoodie. No makeup, no earrings, no birthday energy. She picked up her keys and said, we're going to stop by Kyle's for a bit. I laughed because I thought she was joking. A bit? She didn't laugh back. It's his barbecue thing. He's been stressed about it. We'll swing by, say hi, then head to dinner. My stomach tightened. Kyle's barbecue thing? Today? She rolled her eyes like I was being dramatic about the weather. It's just a family hangout, Evan. Relax, we'll still make it. Mia walked past us, already slipping her shoes on. Uncle Kyle said there's a cornhole tournament, she said, like that explained everything. I wanted to say, it's my birthday, my dinner, my one small request. But you don't want to be the guy who makes people feel guilty for forgetting you. So I did what I've always done. I swallowed it. Okay, I said. Just don't be late. Hannah waved a hand like I was asking her to fly the plane. We won't. They left. I stood in the doorway and watched their car pull out, watched the brake lights blink at the end of the driveway, and felt a weird quiet settle into my chest, the kind that comes before a storm or after a decision you didn't get to vote on. I told myself it was fine. They'd show up. Of course they'd show up. Because who misses their husband's birthday dinner? Because who misses their dad? Because family, right? I drove to the restaurant alone. I told myself it was practical. Someone had to claim the reservation, talk to the hostess, make sure we weren't stuck near the bathroom. I arrived at 6:55 and asked for the table for 8. The hostess smiled. Right this way. The table was perfect. Long enough for everyone. A window seat, candles. The kind of place that makes you feel like you're supposed to be celebrating something. I sat down and placed my phone on the table. Like a lifeline. 7:10, no message. 7:20, nothing. 7:30. The waiter came over with that polite, professional warmth people use when they're trying to be kind without getting involved. Can I start you with something to drink while you wait? Just water, I said. Water, because it felt wrong to order anything without them. Because part of me still believed that if I held off, if I stayed in this suspended state, then the night could still become what it was supposed to be. 7:45. A text finally came through. From Hannah. Running a little late. No apology, no explanation, just that. I typed, okay, see you soon, and then deleted it because see you soon sounded like a lie I was forcing myself to believe. I typed again. How late? She didn't answer. At 8 was, the first person to show up wasn't my family. It was Marcus from work. He walked in holding a gift bag with a bottle of something cheap and a face that said, I thought this might be awkward, but I came anyway. Happy birthday, man, he said. I stood up like I had to prove I was grateful. Thanks. Yeah, they're just running behind. Marcus glanced at the empty table and nodded slowly, like he'd heard that line before in his own life. A few minutes later, Jenna from the office showed up. Then my neighbor, Mr. Callahan, because he'd heard me mention the dinner earlier in the week and thought it would be nice. They filled seats that were never meant for them, and I hated how much I appreciated it. At 8:20, I checked social media, not because I wanted to, but because my brain needed a reason. I found it instantly. Kyle's backyard, a long folding table covered in trays of food, people laughing, music. My mom in the background, smiling like it was Christmas. My dad holding a drink, relaxed. Mia was in a selfie with Kyle's girlfriend, both of them doing that duck lip peace sign thing that teenagers do, like it's a religion. And there was Hannah, standing beside Kyle, smiling, like she belonged there. No mention of my dinner, no, we're on our way, no happy birthday, just there, at my brother's party, on my day. I stared at the screen until my eyes burned. Marcus leaned in gently. You okay? I forced a laugh. Yeah, just family stuff. He nodded, slow and understanding. The waiter returned, reading the room, pretending not to. Are the rest of your party still coming? I opened my mouth and for a second I almost told the truth. No, they're not coming. They chose something else. But I couldn't do it. Not in front of my coworkers, not in front of people who showed up out of kindness and would now have to watch me realize I wasn't worth the same. So I said, they're delayed. The waiter nodded. The lie sat between us like a plate nobody wanted to touch. At 8:45, the restaurant brought out the cake. I hadn't asked for it yet. I guess the staff saw the sparkler candles and assumed there was a moment they were supposed to hit. The sparklers ignited with that bright, sizzling excitement, and there I was, standing at the head of a table, surrounded by people who weren't supposed to be my birthday memory, while the seats that mattered stayed empty. They sang happy birthday, not loudly, not joyfully, but sincerely, because they were trying. And in that moment, I realized something that hit harder than the abandonment. The people at this table were here because they chose to be, not because they had to. I swallowed against the sting in my throat, closed my eyes and made a wish. Not for my family to walk in, not for Hannah to suddenly remember that I matter, not for Kyle to choke on his own ego. I wished for something simpler. I wished for the part of me that kept begging to be chosen, to finally shut up. I blew out the candles, polite applause, and then my phone lit up. Not one call, not two, a flood. It buzzed so hard it rattled on the table. I picked it up. Hannah, 52 missed calls, 52. I stared at the number like it was a glitch, because nobody calls 52 times unless someone is bleeding, unless the house is on fire, unless the world cracked open. A text popped in, stacked right over the missed calls. Call me, now! And that's when something inside me unclenched. Not fear, not panic, relief, because the universe had finally handed me proof that I'd been right all along. They didn't need me for love. They needed me for emergencies, for fixing, for cleaning up, for saving them. I looked at the phone, looked at the cake, looked at Marcus and Jenna and Mr. Callahan, all of them pretending not to watch my face shift, and I smiled, a real smile, not because I thought it was funny, because I suddenly understood whatever disaster was happening over there wasn't my disaster, not anymore. The phone rang again. I didn't answer. It rang again. Still nothing. I set it face down. Marcus blinked. Dude, you sure? I picked up my fork and cut another slice of cake. Yeah, I said calmly. It's my birthday. The phone kept buzzing. Call 53, 54, 55. The vibration became background noise, like rain you stop noticing once you decide you're not going outside. For the first time all night, I tasted the cake. Chocolate, salted caramel, rich, expensive, worth it. I took another bite and felt something else too. Power. Not the loud kind. Not revenge. Just the quiet, steady power of realizing you don't have to answer every time someone who ignored you suddenly needs you. Eventually the call stopped, like they ran out of breath. The table around me relaxed again, conversation crawling back into place. Jenna told a story about her dog eating a whole pan of lasagna. Mr. Callahan laughed too loudly because older men laugh like that when they're trying to make something feel lighter than it is. And I let myself laugh with them because the laughter wasn't fake. It wasn't cruel. It wasn't at my expense. It was just human. When I got home later that night, my house was dark. No balloons. No, we're sorry. Just silence. I set my keys down and finally listened to the voicemails. Hannah's voice was frantic. Kyle collapsed. He's not waking up. The ambulance is here. They're asking questions. I don't know what to do, Evan. Please call me back. My mom's voice sobbing. Your father is panicking. They think it's his heart. Ryan. Ryan is screaming at the paramedics. Please call. Kyle collapsed. The Golden Boys party finally went too far, and they all expected me to show up like a firefighter after letting my own house burn. I sat on the edge of the couch, phone in hand, and felt the old reflex rise in me. Fix it. Go. Be responsible. Be the one who holds everyone together. And then I remembered the empty seats, the sparkler candles, my wife smiling at my brother's party while my birthday sat abandoned on a table downtown. So I did something new. I called back. Not because they deserved it, because I deserved closure. Hannah picked up on the first ring, breathless. Evan, thank God. Is he alive? I asked. She hesitated. They got a pulse back, but, and you called me 52 times, I said quietly. Silence, like she could suddenly hear how insane that sounded. Evan, I'm scared, she whispered. I almost said you should be, but instead I asked, where's Mia? She's here, Hannah said quickly. She's crying. She keeps asking for you. My throat tightened, because Mia was my weak spot, always. I took a breath. Put her on. A pause, then shuffling, then Mia's voice, small and shaky, like she'd dropped the armor for the first time in years. Dad? Hey, kiddo. I'm sorry, she said fast, like she needed to get it out before someone stopped her. I didn't think it would be like that. I thought we were going to come. I swear. I closed my eyes. Behind her apology was the truth she didn't know how to name yet, that she'd been taught which people in this family mattered. And somehow, I wasn't on the list. I know, I said gently. I'm not mad at you. Yes, you are, she whispered. I swallowed. I'm hurt. That word landed harder than anger, because hurt is honest. I need you to listen, I said. I'm going to come to the hospital. For you, not for them, okay? Mia sniffed. Okay. I handed the phone back to Hannah through the air like distance could carry it. Hannah, I said, I'm here. I'm coming for Mia, I repeated, but I'm not fixing your family anymore. Her breath hitched. Evan, no, I said softly. You made your choice tonight, and I made mine. Then I hung up, not to punish her, to protect myself. At the hospital, the fluorescent lights made everyone look exhausted and guilty. My mom rushed up like nothing had happened. Oh, thank God you're here, I stepped past her. Dad tried to grab my shoulder. Son! I kept walking. Kyle's girlfriend was crying into a tissue. A nurse was asking questions. A doctor was explaining something about blood pressure and alcohol and dehydration, and we got him stabilized, but he's lucky. Kyle was lucky. Of course he was. He'd always been lucky. Mia sat in a plastic chair by the vending machines, mascara smeared, arms wrapped around herself like she was trying to hold her world together. When she saw me, she stood and ran into my arms. And in that moment, everything clarified. My job wasn't to save the people who treated me like an accessory. My job was to be a dad. I held her tight and said into her hair, I've got you. Hannah stood a few feet away, eyes red, face tense like she was waiting for me to explode. But I didn't. I just looked at her, really looked, and I realized something colder than anger. I had been optional until I was useful. She took a step forward. Evan, I'm sorry. I nodded once, slow. Yeah, I said. Me too. And then I turned back to my daughter, because that was the only direction that mattered. Later, when the chaos calmed, Hannah tried again, in the hallway, away from everyone. "I didn't mean to miss your birthday," she said, voice trembling. "Kyle he needed us." I stared at her. "Did I?" She blinked. "What? Did I need you?" I asked. "Tonight. Did I need my wife and my daughter at my birthday dinner?" Her mouth opened, but no words came out. I nodded. "That's what I thought." She reached for my arm. "Evan, please." I stepped back. "Here's the thing," I said quietly. "You don't get to abandon someone and then demand their loyalty when your world gets inconvenient." Her face crumpled. "It was just one night." I laughed once. Short, empty. "It's never one night," I said. "It's a pattern." And then I did the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I didn't argue. I didn't beg her to understand. I didn't try to convince her I was worth choosing. I just left. I took Mia home, and when she fell asleep on the couch, exhausted from crying, I sat at the kitchen table and stared at the last slice of cake I'd brought back in a box. The sparkler candles were gone. The moment was over. But something had changed permanently, because for the first time, I wasn't asking them to love me. I was deciding what I would accept. And the next morning, when my mom texted a long message about family coming together in hard times, and Hannah sent "We need to talk," and Kyle, awake, alive, still the center of gravity, sent a single "my bad," I didn't reply right away. I made coffee. I watched the sun come up through my kitchen window, and I realized the most painful truth of all. I didn't lose my family that night. I just finally saw them clearly. And once you see the truth, you can't unsee it, not even on your birthday.